Hey there everybody, it's Jared and we are picking up where we left off. So if you watched the earlier video, I basically used 24 AWG cabling to try to make an extension for the Aperture 120D Mark II, and it heated up, the light started flickering, kind of weird things happened, leaving me to suspect that maybe the wire gauge was too thin for that amount of power, and so didn't give up. Today we are stepping that wire gauge up, so I have 18 AWG cable, 5-core cable, so it's, was it 18.5, and you can, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the difference between the gauges, but it's pretty substantial, so I'll hold it up to kind of show it to our far camera there. Pretty thick. It's really close to the thickness of the original cable, but it's actually just a little teeny bit thicker, so if anything, then maybe this will be a tight fit inside of the DMX connector. So what we've already done is I've already started pulling back the hot glue and everything out of the connector ends. So I already got one of them free of the hot glue, and I'm about to do the other one. So I'm using this little pick. Harbor Freight, it makes a set of these little picks, and this one's got kind of a, I don't know, maybe like a 100 degree bend to it, and I'm just basically sticking it in and prying the hot glue away from the plastic donut that has all the pins protruding through it. So just about done here. It's taken me about 2 minutes of picking away at the hot glue to get it to move. Good thing is the hot glue kind of peels away almost like a large iceberg. Doesn't seem to pick apart in teeny little strands or anything. It comes off as like one solid chunk, which has been pretty nice. So once I get the hot glue off, I'm going to use the soldering iron, which is heating up here, to touch the solder cups and just remove our initial wires out of the DMX connector. So just being a little bit careful, try not to bend our pins. I don't necessarily want to stick the soldering iron in here to break the solder joints apart while it's covered in hot glue, because that'd just be this big sticky mess all over my soldering iron, which I don't want. But I think we're pretty close here, so, oh, there we go. See that? The hot glue is kind of pulling out as one big chunk. Perfect. Looking good. And doesn't look like any of our pins are substantially bent or anything in any way. So we'll get our little chunks of hot glue out of here, and now we'll use, here's our little sleeve things. We're going to use a soldering gun to break the joints of the solder. So before we do that, let's reassemble our little helping hands situation here. Start undoing our good work from before. So I think I'll use the tweezers to just pull it one wire at a time. So we'll start with this one. Okay. What I'll do at this point is I'm actually gonna cut the cable free just to get all this dead weight off of here. That'll make things easier. There we go. Okay, gotten our first one free. All right, so both of those are out. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to strip all of the jacketing off the interior wires to get them ready for soldering. So in a pleasant turn of events, these rubber boots are actually pretty soft on the back, and so with a little bit of pressure, we can actually make these things fit. So I think we are right at the fringe of what's possible with a DMX connector with this 18 gauge 5-core cable. So first we're gonna put the boot on. So you just kind of push it up against there and then give it a good push and on it slides. Look at that. Wow, it's impressive. And next we're gonna put the strain relief. So you just gotta kind of work it into the jaws of the strain relief there, and on it goes. Let's see if it'll fit inside. Ooh, look at that. Just barely fits. That's a thing of beauty right there. That's a thick cable. So I don't think, if we have any issues today, it has to be something else. Like maybe there's internal resistance to the materials of a DMX connector versus whatever connector seems like a DMX connector on the aperture light. I don't know. If this gauge doesn't work, it's not the gauge. That's all I gotta say about that. Or maybe it's the internal resistance of the wire. But see, this wire is made for power and lights and all those kinds of things, so shouldn't be a problem. I know DMX cabling, though, actually has different resistivity inside. So in audio, you know, sometimes people can interchange a 3-pin DMX cable for a 3-pin audio cable because they have the same XLR connector, so they look like an audio cable, but inside, the internal resistance is different. And so I can't remember whether, you know, audio exhibits problems using DMX or DMX exhibits problems using an audio cable. However, maybe it's both, but not a good thing to do and easy to dork up. So the properties of a DMX cable on the inside are not conducive to doing this kind of work. So wow, that's a tight fit. So we would not get it. I was considering getting a 16 gauge cable. You probably remember my last video. I was like, yeah, I'll use a 16 gauge cable maybe. Good thing I didn't. Would not have worked at all. 18 is the max, at least for this connector. All right, so it is time to start soldering again. So we got let's get our cables stripped and fluxed.
One app with infinite possibilities. Get it today.
All right. So let's see. The wire strippers actually couldn't strip the other cables, the 24 gauge, because they only go down to 20 gauge. However, because this is 18 gauge, I should be able to strip them. So let's see. I'm just gonna do a little bit because of what we learned last time. It shrinks away in the heat. Oh yeah. That worked pretty good. I think I nicked a couple of the copper lines. So I'm probably gonna step it up and see if I can cut it with a 16 gauge cutter instead of the 18 gauge. I don't want to break any of the copper on the inside, and that's what just happened. So let's try 16 gauge. Yeah, that worked pretty good. I didn't break any of the copper. So we're gonna use the 16 gauge stripper on the 18 gauge wire, just because I want to keep every little piece of copper in there. I don't want to have a chance of breaking it away. I don't know if any of you have used those like mil-spec strippers. They kind of grab on like T-Rex jaws, and you just like, it seems almost like a trigger mechanism, and it just strips the wire away immediately. These things look pretty slick. I bet they're expensive, which is why I don't have any. But I spend all my money on aperture lights and then make cables for them that they should have made themselves. Seriously, Aperture, why a 6-foot cable? What's up with that? The 300D actually has a cable that's pretty long. I'd say it's probably 10 feet long. That's just about long enough to boom. I use the Avenger mini boom, and I think it's called the mini boom. It's the D650, and it's pretty dope. And with the 10-foot cable on the 300D, I could boom it out as far as I think I would want to, using a ratchet strap and a sandbag. I probably wouldn't want to go any farther than that cable allows. But oh, those look good, nice and thick. Good wire gauge. It's gonna be good. All right, got the strain relief on there. So this end is ready to go. Tin and solder it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the other end. I like to do things in batches. So strip all the cables at the same time, solder all the cables at the same time versus stripping one end and soldering it, because I feel like, you know, your muscle memory starts to kick in, and think the human brain just works better doing assembly line kind of work. Batch processing. You know, do all the like activities at once. Uh-oh, I hear my girls are home. It's about to get loud. I don't know how you guys feel about long form content. I know it's kind of really boring to some, maybe. But I'll see how I feel. If I feel bored by my own video, maybe I'll shorten it. Just cut through the edits really fast. All right, that one's ready to go. It's time to start soldering. Whoop, whoop. So I'm gonna clean my trash off of here. Get my, oh, I forgot to turn on my my motivation light. What is it? No, it's not motivation. Is it? What's the term for it? Motivating light? Okay. Try to keep a clean workspace. All right, we got our flux here. Looks like I'm just checking to see if any of the pins have like residual solder that maybe overlapped, because when we heated up the pins to pull the old wires out, maybe some of that slag like slipped over. And let's get this out of the way here. Hear the dogs. Pretty excitable. All right, so maybe we'll do a different order this time. This cable seems to naturally want to go white, red, black, green, yellow. Oh no, it wants to go white, red, yellow, black, green. Man, that sounds really familiar. I feel like that was the order we did last time. All right, so we're gonna dip them in flux. And oh, we didn't tin the wires, did we? We said we tinned them last time. Let's tin them real fast. So, solder. So you guys can't see that, can you? I'll bring this down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's one. Okay, those are tinned. And let's go ahead and... Hi! I hear...
Don't touch.
Yeah, yeah, don't touch. It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
Daddy.
Don't touch. It's hot. Back up. This is hot. Here, you can come over this side.
Okay.
Crypto.com Visa card.
That's right here.
A metal card powered by crypto.
There you go. This over here.
How about these?
All right, we got a little visitor.
Okay.
Okay.
Reserve yours now.
They play with. Daddy play.
We can play a little later. I gotta finish these up first. Make a-
Outside.
Oh yeah. Ooh, these are some
Outside.
thick cables, baby. These are gonna be tough to get in here.
It's outside.
The little solder cups are like just
Daddy,
almost the exact
outside.
diameter of the.
It's hot.
What's hot?
It's hot.
What's hot?
Step up to GMC with 0%
Just turn off the mirror. Oh my God, baby,
GMC.
Okay. I could see how this is going to be very, very tough because I don't think we're going to get 18 gauge cables inside of these little solder cups. This is going to be a tough squeeze. I feel like they almost need to be soldered to the solder cups in order to work. So let me circle the wagons here and figure out what the heck I'm going to do. I'm gonna try to maybe wind these really, really tight so that they stick in there a little easier. I might actually have to trim back some of the wires to make them thinner in diameter just at the point where they insert into the solder cup. All right, let's think here. Think. I mean, maybe we could solder the wire to the solder cup. I don't necessarily want to do that. I'm wondering if I do that, if I'll be able to insulate them from each other. I mean, the hot glue can help with that, but be afraid to just have you guys watch me sit here and flounder for a little while. But we are trying to critically think. Think. Alright, so this solder cup is basically open and empty, so let's try it one more time. Yeah, so that wire's definitely not going to fit in there. So I think the only thing we can do is try to solder it to the pin. So we'll just put a gob of solder on the pin real quick. And then maybe we'll put some solder on the wire too. Okay, let's try white. All right, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but basically we made a solder joint. The pin is not necessarily in the cup, but there's basically a gob of solder on the wire and a gob of solder on the pin, and then I join the gobs of solder together, and there is still good spacing and gap between that hack job and the next pin. So I'm gonna try that for all the pins here. So we're just gonna take a second and put solder on each of these pins. Not yet.
Hi, Mommy.
We got another visitor.
Hey, Mommy.
Yeah, it's Mommy.
Mommy up. Or play jump. It's supposed to work. Mommy,
Right.
this still work? Daddy, don't touch it there.
I like that you say don't touch as you're touching. You're like, oh, don't touch. All right, so we're gonna do the red pin next. What's up? Come to hang out? All right, you wanna get in the video? No? So shy. Faith was in the video. All right. Red is connected. There's no touching. Let's do. This cable's a lot heavier than the other one, so it really wants to move around. What I might do is use this other guy to hold on to it. There we go. Thanks, Ghetto Helping Hands.
What's this? There.
Okay, we're gonna do yellow.
Ready? You did it!
Alright,
Number one.
so far so good.
Sorry.
The true test will be if the strain relief and all that stuff fits over top. Because this is a bulkier white, red, yellow, black, green. Do you want to eat?
My almost water bucket.
All right, that's
Other
looking pretty
side?
good.
Hope. Oh.
Last one.
Other side? Mommy, right here?
Yes.
Hope. Hope.
Very interesting process. It's kind of like heating up the GABA solder on the pin, and then once it's like semi-liquid, pushing the gob of solder from the cable into it, and then heating them both up and kind of spreading it around a little bit. But looks good. Everything's connected and nothing's touching. So we'll be sure to shoot a lot of hot glue in there to make sure that it stays that way. All right, everybody, we're back. So we got the hot glue gun heating up here, and we have finished all of our soldering. And so we've got all the pins connected, and we did a continuity test using the multimeter, and the pins are only touching the pins they're supposed to, and there's no interconnections between any of the soldering joints. And so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling the whole assembly with hot glue. Actually, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna check and see that the strain relief fits over the second set of joints I did. Make sure that the solder is not actually preventing it from closing. So let's just do that real quick. Okay, and we will pop this on, and we'll see if basically we're gonna dry fit the connectors and see if everything works before we dump a bunch of hot glue in there. I already did this for the other side, but I think it's time to hot glue it. I think we've got everything's tight enough, but not too tight. It's gonna work. Whew, and these solder joints are tough. So let's go for it. And I'm actually going to put, unlike last time, I'm going to put the hot glue kind of on the cables back towards where the jacket is, because I noticed on one of them I kind of nicked the jackets of the interior cables and I saw a little bit of copper in there, so I'm going to make sure I fill that with hot glue just to prevent any kind of extra movement. So shoot this guy right in the middle, and I'm basically just making sure there's glue between each conductor to isolate it. And then make sure that the hot glue is also surrounding all of the exposed copper. But I'm not trying to like build up the interior bulk of this thing because the connector's already really tight. So just making sure everything's insulated. Okay, I'm happy with that. And then I'm gonna just go around right where I made the cut. Okay, I'm happy with that. Well, let's do the other end. While this end cools off. So if you didn't watch the first video, the hot glue acts as strain relief, rigidity, but it also acts as an insulator. In case one of these cables, were to bend or twist or something, that it can't physically contact one of the other cables in here. Okay. All right. I like how that feels. Go ahead and unplug the hot glue gun, and it's time to start assembling. Oh man, I hope this works. If you weren't with me for the last round, we did an hour and some change install. It actually took longer. The video was about an hour, but the install was over 2 days, and the cable was too thin. So I'm really hoping this one works out. Okay. Very tight fit. I can feel the strain relief is extra tight because there's now hot glue under, kind of between the strain relief and the cable jackets. So I try not to bulk it up too much, but it's inevitable that you're going to get a little bit in there. So now we're just trying to get this guy to seat home. I think that's it right there. I don't think this is going to be the last use of these Neutrik connectors. I think if this doesn't work, I don't think I'll try to salvage them. I should have brought some pliers in from the garage, but that's on there. Wonder if, nope. I think I'm gonna grab a set of pliers. I'll be, well, let's do the other ones. See how the other one does. I think this one didn't get as much slop of the. This one had less slop on the solder joints and on the hot glue, so I think it fits a little easier. All right, that might be end of the road for these guys. I don't think they're going to twist much more. All right, so now that these are assembled, we're going to do a continuity test one more time. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch the red and black leads of the ohm meter, or the multimeter set to the ohm setting, and I'm just going to touch all the pins and make sure they're only connected to their corresponding pins and nothing else. Okay, I'm going to set the multimeter to ohms, and we're just going to go pin 1 to the rest of them. So pin 1 has connection to itself and has no connection to the others. Okay, maybe I'll turn, well, I don't think there's a way for you guys to see it. All right, let's go to pin 2. Pin 2 has connection to its partner pin and no connection to the others. Pin 3. Pin 3 is only connected to its partner. Pin 4. Pin 4 is only connected to its partner, and last pin here. All right, pin 5 is only connected to its partner. We are ready to test. All right, we got the 120D ballast all plugged in, and we will now connect our new custom cable and hope for the best. Locks in place. Locks in place. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're at 67%. I see no flickering. I'm going to raise it up into the 80s. That's where we got flickering last time. There is no flickering. We are now at 100%. So far, the cable is not warm. I'm excited, y'all. I think it worked. No heat on the cable. No flickering. We're in the 80s. 70s. Whoo, man. Yo, I think we did it. All right, I'm just going to turn this to 100. And let's just leave it at 100 for a little while, and we'll see if the cable starts to heat up. I don't think it's gonna, though. I think we did it. Man, that feels good. See, don't quit on yourself. If something doesn't work, just sleep on it, try again. Oh, this feels nice. Not warm at all. 100% all day. We did it. We made a 15-foot cable for the Aperture 120D with some basic tools, a soldering iron, razor blade, wire strippers. This is 18.5, so 18 gauge 5-core cable. And I bought it on Amazon. It might have been like 20 bucks, something like that. I'll post a link in the description to what I bought. Neutrik connector ends, so 5-pin DMX male to male, and hot glue gun. So, feeling pretty good. Can't believe we did it. And I'm never really going to run this light at, well, maybe I will run it at 100, we'll see. But I'm just glad that, at least for now, you know, it's seemingly, I mean, if it is warm, it's mildly warm. It could be my own hand heat, I'm not sure. Not like the other one, though. The 24 gauge, that heated right up. This one seems totally normal. So, thanks for joining. This has been a fun experiment. I won't use this cable all the time. In fact, I'll primarily only use it when I'm running the light on the boom. Other than that, I'll be using the factory cable. So my name is Jared, and thanks for joining, and we'll see what other kind of projects we can get into. Peace out.